This week on Dumb Pitches, my guest is Will Miles, a very decorated and experienced comedy writer and comedian, very funny, and he gives us real pitches that he pitched in the writer's room on all of that, on Grownish, on a lot of TV shows that you have seen, and these ones didn't make it to the screen, but they're very funny to talk about. I'm impressed, and then I actually pitch him one of my ideas. So it's a great episode, very interesting. Here we go, Dumb Pitches.
What a bunch of dumb pitches. Oh my god.
Welcome to another episode of Dumb Pitches with Monica Nevi. I'm Monica Nevi, your host. This right here is the show where we talk to successful people about their worst ideas. I'm so happy to have your guest this week. Welcome, Will Miles. Yay.
Hello, hello.
Yes, we do applause breaks here. Thank you so much for being here. I'm really excited to have you, mostly because you just told me you've had a lot of really bad ideas, so that's perfect. We do, well, first of all, we like to build you up. We like to make you feel good first, which is why I've already complimented your, well, we heard wife's decorating skills. Your room looks very nice. But we like to give your good ideas first so that people know you've actually had some good ideas before.
Thank you.
Of course. So Will Miles, very funny stand-up comedian. You've had a Comedy Central half hour. You're a writer for Southside. Oh, all that, which the 90 kid in me was like, oh my, I'm like so excited about that, even though it was like, it's like the reboot, but I love that. You're part of the Sherman's Showcase that was on Hulu, Chris Gethard show. Like these are actually really, not that we have people that are like, all right, we're just making it up here, but it's an impressive list. You've had plenty of good ideas, and you should feel good about that.
Thank you. I do feel good about that.
Good. I feel like I can't even remember where we met. I can't remember if it was a festival or if it was just
city, right, at a festival.
Yeah.
Was it at Bridgetown?
Oh, that would make sense, actually. Yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah.
And then I feel like
it was so much fun.
Bridgetown was fun. Rest in peace.
I did mushrooms there, and then I got lost for a little bit.
Yeah, I've had that exact experience, actually.
We might have been together.
Right, yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's how we met. No, I did mushrooms there once and then refused to walk over the bridge because I was
That's
like
hilarious.
afraid that if somebody was going to jump off.
Yeah. No, I get the fear from that.
Yeah.
That's mushroom fear talking.
Yeah, it worked out okay, though. Nobody jumped. This is a perfect intro. Okay, so when I sent you kind of the criteria of how this show works, what ideas did you come up with? What bad ideas did you come up with?
Well, there's one bad pitch I had on all that probably got further than I think Nickelodeon would have wanted. But it was right after Fuller House came out.
Okay.
And so I pitched Fullest House.
Okay.
And the pitch was just we put the kids still play, Uncle whatever, all the uncles.
Okay,
Jesse,
Uncle Jesse and
then Danny Tanner, and then some of the girls are there, but then I'm like, then we just keep adding more family. And basically we see the house is just filled, every space is filled with a human being. So that was the whole sketch. It was like, all right, let's just fill a house with a bunch of people and have a 10-second bit on this kids show called Fullest House.
That's hilarious. Well, and okay, so was there any explanation of like how these people, they were also related to them, or was there like
I think I had
storyline?
But then I was the pitch was like we get all the cast, so it's like they're multicultural. So at some point it'll stop making sense,
right?
And it just why it's like Betty White here. We pull extras. Like, Days of Our Lives writing staff always sat next to us at lunch.
You're like, you guys just walk in. And...
like, yeah, just
that would be a great. And then of course, like the one parent who's watching it or whatever is like, wait, isn't that the writers for Days of Our Lives or whatever? Like you just know somebody else. That's great.
Maybe
I mean,
actors from that, yeah.
That's hilarious. I think that I don't know why I feel like I need to do this. All that, if you didn't know, was like, it's like a sketch show on Nickelodeon though. So it was, you're writing different style. It's like SNL, but for kids kind
Yeah,
of like,
yeah.
and it was very popular when I'm assuming you and I were younger. And so they were doing like a reboot. And this is where you're pitching this idea. How did they, it obviously didn't get made.
It did not get made, but it
Okay.
got. The thing was, it was in the right. Like when I got the job, I told them the Pierre Escargot sketch. Like in my interview, I was like, "That's the reason I. That's like a big influence in my comedy.
Yeah.
Just weird." I was like, I'll do weird shit. That's what I do."
You're like,
I'm like, I am coming from like, sure I do like regular stuff, but I'm mostly weirdo. And I was like, I can do that for you guys. So it wasn't a shock when I pitched it, but it was one of those things where it kind of made the room laugh. And
great.
I think because it made the room laugh, everybody was like, I guess it goes to the next step.
There's laughs.
At
So
some point, there was like pitches on what the house would look like, and I was like, okay, it's still
we're
going.
still talking about this. That's cool. That's great.
I
Well,
was
yeah,
like,
I mean,
great. There's 10 seconds, so I don't even know if you guys want to produce this.
so
Maybe 30 seconds we could get out of it.
I was
But
gonna say, so it wasn't gonna be that long at all.
no.
And then there would be like, okay, we have to actually produce the whole, make a set and do this for just a 10 to 30-second sketch.
And audition extras to play just people in a house.
Right? You're like, this is a lot of money for just this 10 seconds or whatever.
So it did not go through, but it's something where I was like, if there's a way to have made that go through, that would have been amazing.
I love the idea that you're like, even in your head, you're like, I don't know if this is great, but
Yeah.
it keeps going and you're like, well, I'm not going to tell anybody this is a bad idea. Like, I'm just going to see how far we can get.
Yeah, I feel like that's a lot of this business is how far can I.
Man, we've talked about
This
it.
dumb thing I said.
We've talked about it a few times on here of like, sometimes you'll be like, this is great. And then it does not get the reaction you think. And then it'll be like the dumbest thing where you're like, oh, whatever. I'll just put this up or I'll just pitch this. And then they're like, this is awesome. We love this. Like, I can't tell what anybody wants anymore.
And I feel like those are a lot of my jokes too. I'm like, craft like when I remember when I lived in Chicago, I used to write out the jokes sometimes, and I'd like craft these jokes, and I get on stage and say just the dumbest thought I had in the morning, and then it'd be like, actually, that's like the crowd would laugh. and
Right? You're like, oh. Well, it's funny because I'll do that sometimes on stage, and it'd be like, I should have wrote that down.
Yeah,
I didn't record that. I don't know what I said.
Yeah,
Oh,
I have no
man.
idea how I said it.
That is, I mean, people like to think you're off the cuff all the time and like in conversation. So I understand that they would be like, that was great. You're like, that was the dumbest thing I thought of today.
Those are the best. There's a sketch I wrote for Sherman's showcase where like it was I was just like, what if we merged Menace to Society and 99 bottles of beer on the wall. And, and I was just high at home one day, and I was like, it was high, morning high too, because I smoked before work or something like that. And then I was like, I had time to get to work, and I was like, I was like, hey guys, I have this idea. And I was like, why don't I just write the whole sketch out first? And then they let me just do that, and then I came back, and it was hilarious. I was like, yeah, this is just a high thought I had that I had to just see through.
That's hilarious.
That's the best stuff. Is like, this might be crazy, but I got to see it all the way through, and then if it's bad, I'll know after.
Well,
I read
because
all.
what if you didn't, and then we really missed out on something that was hilarious, you know? And high situations can really be hit or miss, you know? It can be really, really funny and random because it's so silly, or you thought it was funny at the time and it just really wasn't.
That's why I forget who said it, but like you got to write high and edit sober.
Yes, absolutely. That is
so funny when you're sober, then you got something. But
yeah. Yes, I mean, I've had that experience so many times going through my notes of being like, oh, I wrote this down when I was high the other night. And then I'm like, I don't know what I was thinking. Or I can't even figure out what it is, you know? Like, I was like, I know this was funny, but I don't know what I'm trying to say here.
Yeah, at all, right? Like,
yes, it's like communicating with a different person.
Yeah, right. Here's a joke I wrote that I think Roy Wood would say. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, oh man, I shouldn't have thought of it.
I have notes where I like start at a sentence and then there's no end. Like I'm like, oh, It's like their final words on a deathbed or something. Like, what were you gonna tell me? Like that. It could have been
Please
something
wake
really
up.
stupid. Yeah, but well, I'm impressed with the commitment. At least you're like, you know what? I really have to actually see what this is like.
Is
Perfect.
this really dumb, or is it something I should definitely see through?
It
Yeah,
could be both. We
it
don't
could
know.
be.
You know, it
Yeah,
takes
we'll
some
see.
dumb bad ideas to really get to a good idea. Sometimes that's good.
Yeah,
All right. Okay. So we had the fullest house, which is
Fullest House. That's the one. I was like, I got to bring that one here.
I'm trying to see. Like, I don't even know if that's a bad idea. I think it is a funny concept, but it is just a short time for a lot to be going on.
It is. It's not cost effective.
Yeah, that's true. Well, but having that many people in your house probably isn't super cost effective either. I don't know.
It's true. That's
I guess
true.
in San Francisco, you know,
And
it makes
it
sense.
had to like, in order to even get the joke, you had to have known that Fuller House was the latest Full House.
Right, that's true. Then it had to be. Well, yeah, and then okay, so kids that might be watching Nickelodeon now might not really get the whole fullest house
Yep.
thing. Okay,
Yep.
so we ran into some bumps
So it's
there.
like, are you 14, have seen Full House and Fuller House?
Right, yeah.
And
Yes.
we get the how silly this is.
Were your parents born in the 90s? And,
Right.
yeah.
Are you
Okay.
watching this with them?
Fullest house.
I mean, I've pitched. What else have I pitched? There's been some bad pitches. I'm trying to think of on shows like what have I? I mean, I did pitch on Grownish that I pitched that they say there's this pitch that went on for a while where I wanted someone to hear someone having sex, and I wanted one of the characters on that show to walk downstairs and say, I thought I heard somebody making mac and cheese.
That's so funny.
These are wholesome kids on that show.
Right, yeah, I was gonna say that's also kind of a kid, you know, whatever. Teen, I guess.
Yeah,
Young
teen
adult
and up,
show.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, which is like it is interesting that we always try to clean it up for them, but that's who wants that joke anyway. You know what I mean? Like
Yep.
they like that, but but their parents are like, "Oh, you can't say that."
Yeah.
But that's hilarious because I do like a behind the scenes of this show sometimes of my own bad ideas, and we did all the worst jokes that I actually did on stage. And Blake listened in, and it was one that was basically like it's not funny, like you know, a guy has something in his pocket or something, and people be like, "Oh, are you excited to see me?" You know, like
Yeah.
you can't say that for a woman. You can't be like, "Oh, are you stirring a pot of mac and cheese, or are you excited to see me?" You know, like so
Nice.
that so the fact that you said that, I was like, "Oh shit." Will has also had the thought that is what that sounds like.
Yep. And it was one of those that, like, you know, everybody else in the room was like, they had been on the show before, so they were good at pitching ideas for the show. It hit everyone at a different time, and you could see like them think about what it sounds like to stir mac and cheese. And I was like, yes.
Yes, I got you.
And by the end, they were all laughing, but then they were like, I mean, but that's not the show at all.
Right, yeah, we can't do that. But, you're like, this one's for me.
I get. Sometimes my humor doesn't work on every show.
Right, they're like, who's the new guy? This is.
We tone it back. Yeah.
Which is also funny because now I'm thinking too in depth about it, which is what happens on the show is that I really get involved. Every time in a TV show they do like hear someone having sex or a movie or whatever, it's always just banging. It's not like, you know, it's not like either there's a tiny bit of talking but not a lot, or it's like just like a headboard hitting the wall or something. It's never like actual. I don't know. Everyone seems like they're trying to kill each other when you hear, you know what I mean? You're like, I hope that's not what sex sounds like around you. You know what I mean? Like,
where you want to be like, has anyone else tried to have sex with someone else in the house? Like, this is what you think you do when you're trying to hide that you're having sex. You're banging loudly on a headboard.
Right. Yeah, exactly. You're like, let's be discreet. But I mean, It is usually well, first of all, you probably have to have roommates or something.
Hmm.
And then they're usually younger. And so, not to be rude to all younger people, but the finesse of sex probably isn't as great when you're in college in a dorm room or whatever
Yeah,
than
yeah.
when you are
And trying to
older.
hide
But
the sounds. Yeah.
yeah, so it is just banging and like.
Boom, boom.
Right. I don't know who, anyways, who's like,
Yeah.
hey, that sounds cool. I should do that too. Like,
Oh, let me listen with the glass
yeah,
to the.
exactly. That is, or yeah, that's in like so many movies with hotel rooms. And they always
Yeah.
like hear somebody on the other side, and that's it. They're like screaming and like banging against the wall. So loud.
What's crazy is how like when you really think about it, that is creepy. Like I remember hearing about somebody actually doing that, and they like the police were called.
They're like, someone's being hurt over there. You need to go.
Yeah. Yeah, this guy has a glass to my door and keeps like trying to get in to see what's happening. It's like,
Right.
oh, that's
Which is also, yeah, like
illegal.
if it's loud enough for you to notice, like to hear, then you don't need to put a cup to the wall to make it louder. Like that's not.
Yeah,
I don't.
yeah.
I would like to sound like I'm in the room with you, and that would really do it for me. Like that's not. Well, and then I don't know why I'm thinking about it, but like you know how okay, so the whole premise of American Pie is that the apple pie is supposed to feel like a vagina, right? Like that's like what they
Right.
had told them. And so I feel like if you got through to do this joke and a young enough audience was watching, they'd be just like stirring mac and cheese, be like, okay, that's what it sounds like. This is you could have really changed some lives with that one.
I will say maybe they missed out, but I think they made the right choice.
Yeah, that's true. But at least you got the satisfaction of both of these. I feel like you got the satisfaction of the room laughing at least.
Oh yeah, that's so much stuff. That's getting them to laugh is like okay, and then like the more independent the show, the more it might actually go on. But sometimes it's just like I just want to make you guys laugh real quick,
Right.
even though I know it'll never get on the show.
Just gonna loosen it up here, get
Yeah,
everybody
yeah,
in the
let's
mood. Yeah. That's great. Okay. Do you have any others that you thought of?
I can't think of anything else right now. I mean, I'm in the process of trying to pitch shows and stuff. So I'm like thinking
You're
about,
like, I don't want to say they're bad ideas or
yeah.
give you too
Hopefully
much.
they're all good that I'm doing right now.
Yeah, exactly. Too much information though, is that? Because I've had like, all right, I've never done this before, but let me pitch you one and
Yeah, okay.
let me see how you like it because I've talked about it way too much, and I think my fiance is like, okay, you need to talk to somebody else about this. I think maybe it was a web series or something, but just about the two gas station attendants that work at the gas station next to our house. It's a Mexican lady and an Indian lady, and they are really mean at first. But then once you get to know them, they're like the nicest ladies ever, and they're really funny. And so I'm like, this is a great show. I think this is a great show.
Yeah.
And my fiance's like, I don't think it is. I think you just
I don't know.
like that they're nice to you now.
I feel like they need like they sound like such interesting characters.
They could. I mean, I think there's a depth of character you can get to there
Yeah.
if you want to.
I'm always curious about those kind of characters, like especially if some suspenseful thing happens, like somebody robs their store and they have to chase them down.
I do think that they would like, you know how you see those videos of people being like, all right, give me everything, and they just like pull out a shotgun from behind the. I think that would be them. They're just like, no, we don't do this.
That was awesome, and then I like to like follow them after that.
Yeah, definitely. Well, and then they like gossip, which I really enjoy too, because
nice.
you know, with a gas station that's like, it's on a busy street, but there's like a neighborhood, you know, there's like apartments and houses and stuff. So you get a lot of like the same people coming in. Obviously, this is why I have a relationship with the gas station attendants.
Yeah. I mean, are you getting gas or are you buying snacks?
Usually snacks or wine, or which they are now giving me recommendations for wine from the gas station.
A gas station sells wine is top notch.
Yeah, and then
counterintuitive actually.
And then
drive and also maybe want some liquor.
Yeah, they got like a whole wine section. It's pretty good. Sometimes, I mean, if I do need gas, I do go there. But more
Yeah.
often than not, I walk over and then we have a little convo, check in. What are you doing this weekend? When do you get off? And then, so we have crazy neighbors across the street, right? And they, like the other day, the guy it sounded like, those, like a glass window pane that they're like replacing the window with. It sounded
Yeah.
like they dropped one. And I was like, what the hell? So I look over and then they start yelling, Justin, no, don't, Justin, stop, don't do that. And he's punching through their front window, just like,
What?
just because, I don't know. We got texts from our neighbors that were like, so our super sober neighbor just punched through his own window. And I was like, heard it. I heard it.
Yeah.
So then I'm at the gas station later and I was like, oh, it's just crazy. The cops had to come across the street. And she's like, I saw him. She's like,
Wow.
he came in and his hand was all bloody and stuff, and he came in and got cigarettes. It's just like, it's like real life next door, and I enjoy it. And I just don't know. I think you'd have to be, it's very bare bones right now because it's just like, oh, it's about these two ladies that I think are very interesting. But then you'd have to add a lot to it, I think.
I also wonder if they hang out outside of work. Like, what if they're like best friends, or what if they never hang out outside of work?
That's fair, because so the Mexican lady worked there first, and when I would come in, she would be on the phone a lot, especially at night, which is fine.
Yeah.
I that doesn't bother me at all.
Not
And
at
then
all.
when the Indian lady started working there, she stopped being on the phone, and so maybe that they became like good, or maybe that's who she was on the phone with. I don't know.
Yeah.
She's like, I can get you a
It's easier.
job.
I just get to talk to her in person now.
Yeah, exactly. But like all the people there that work there are super nice, but they like just don't take any shit. There's a guy, an Asian guy, and me and my fiance, who's also a woman, we walked in, and this guy was like, "Hey, ladies," and he steps in, and he goes, "Nope, get out, leave." I was like, "Fuck yes!" And maybe it was the safest I've ever felt, but it was. I was like, "You guys are great. Do you want to come over? We live close."
Right. Yeah. We gotta cook you dinner now, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. There's a lot to. Maybe it's not that. It
sounds like that guy who, like, I've never heard a more like perfect character type than the guy who punches through his front window and then immediately goes to get cigarettes.
That's true. And he was still bleeding, which I thought was funny because it's like, was it wrapped up? And she's like, no. I was like,
just fresh blood.
Yeah.
I just need some cigarettes.
He never wears a shirt and has a long ponytail that's like got multiple ponytail. My fiance calls him Princess Jasmine, but that's what his hair looks like. Oh man, but just there's something going on over there too, which is also entertaining for us, but it's inconvenient. It's really early in the morning, loud music, which makes me sound old, but then they're like dancing in the middle of the street at 7 a.m, which is a 4-lane road, with a bottle of vodka in their hands, and like,
what?
Yeah, and they're like both in there. I thought she was gonna yell at him, and she like comes out and is like dancing with him too. I'm like, what in the fuck is happening?
What's going on over there? And then you could have like the gas station like rear window type shit, because they are seeing everything. So it's like, what if they see something wild, like Under the Silver Lake, which I just saw?
What's that?
I don't know if I like the movie, but it was interesting.
It's a movie?
Under the Silver Lake, yeah. Okay. And so it's I watched it because I'm still pretty new to LA, and I'm like, oh, that's Silver Lake. I know Silver Lake.
I've seen that one. That happened to me when I lived there. If it was ever in a show, I'd be like, oh, I've been around that place.
Yeah, and it's in a lot of shows. Like Love is all throughout Silver Lake. And
I was gonna say that was the same thing that I was thinking. I think I watched it when I lived in LA. I was like, oh yeah, there you go. That's it.
I watched like seasons 1 and 2 maybe from New York, and I didn't. I had never really been to LA, so I was like, I don't know what LA's like. And then I was like, this looks crazy to me. And then when I got here, I was like, oh no, that's just fucking Hollywood Boulevard. Wow.
I'm sure people feel like that about New York if they've never been either.
Yeah, that's true.
Because that's got the same, like, it's like played up in a lot of movies and stuff too.
Now New York is like weirdly so nostalgic, even when it's not a character in the show. Like me and my wife will both be watching it like, oh, I remember that's my place.
Yeah, you're like, we used to live close to there. I used to walk past that all the time.
Somebody shit on the ground. They're like, oh, I remember where that was. Beautiful.
I remember when that happened. Oh, That's great. Okay. All right. Well, we'll keep working on all these pitches here.
Yeah.
And you guys keep. Now I'm like, what if they come out with a third series of Full House and it is called Fullest House?
They owe me money. I don't know.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's already here. It's already been
Yeah.
said. Okay. Well, where can people find you to follow you or come see you or anything you want to let our listeners know about?
I'm on Instagram, Twitter, and now TikTok, even though I only have one
Ooh.
video. And it's the same username on all three, Mr. Will Miles, which is right here, written Mr. Will Miles.
Look at that.
And then Southside Season 2 comes to HBO Max in November, I think the press release said.
Perfect.
So yeah, watch that when it comes out. I'm in a few episodes now.
Oh shit.
I've got a lot more speaking parts. It's pretty nuts. Yeah, hopefully I'm good at acting.
Good. Yeah, November. Check it out. Then you can be the judge.
Yeah. And I wrote, I think, episode 6, so that'll be fun too. But yeah.
Awesome. That's really exciting. Yeah, give him a follow. Go check out Southside, and then judge his acting in November. If you are watching, or judge it now. Oh man, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you subscribe. We also have YouTube memberships if you want to check out the behind the scenes episodes like we had talked about. I also have full stand-up sets on there if you want to watch those. And then Apple rate and review, subscribe, Spotify, follow. I don't know. They're all different. Just do the thing. You'll love it. But right now you can just keep watching Dumb Pitches.
You're weird.
Yes.